Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. We today are talking about books because we are both book people.
Some more recent than others.
Yeah,
Me.
yeah. I to be fair, I do still read every chance I get. It's just fan fiction instead of actual like novels. Whereas back in the day, I would rip through like two books a week and
Yeah.
just be absolutely insane. But now I was thinking about this the other day about why I don't read more. And it's because I'm doing too many things. I'm doing all the things except reading.
Yeah.
Like,
Too many other projects.
yeah, I've got my
Yeah.
YouTube channel, I've got this podcast, I stream with one of my other friends whenever he's on there. I work a full-time job, which honestly is the main thing that gets in
And
the
work full
way.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My full-time job, which pays for everything, gets in the way of everything. Plus, I'm like, I actually want to like hang out with friends and stuff. Although all of my friends keep moving out of state, so I'm just slowly becoming more and more antisocial because all of my friends are leaving.
I feel that. I feel that.
The reason I want to talk about books this particular episode is because I actually picked up a book which I've been meaning to read for probably the last 2 months because I borrowed it from a friend. And it's the book Spare by Prince Harry. And I've probably read a total of like 10 chapters, which isn't very far into the book, but and it's really sad because he kind of starts off in that kind of time era of when his mom died. So it's just like from his perspective a lot of confusion, a lot of sadness and things like that. But I've realized like the last few books that I've actually read are nonfiction and typically autobiographies of some kind, which 16-year-old me would
Hmm.
never. Like, would never. Not even with a 10-foot pole, would never.
Absolutely not. You're like,
Like,
not fantasy?
yeah, not fantasy. You mean something in the real world about real people? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
just find it, and I don't know if it's just because, like, I'm older or what, but it's just so interesting and I'm a big like I love behind the scenes and like little tidbits of information that not everybody would know or care to know. So I just like knowing the behind the scenes of somebody's life is really cool. Um
Hmm.
and obviously in the case of Prince Harry also very tragic at the same time. But it helps you like understand people a lot more and the way that they are. Um one of the ones I had read, and I've actually read it more than once, was As You Wish by Carrie Ewells, who is Prince Wesley in The Princess Bride. And his is about his experience on the film set of The Princess Bride and him like reflecting back on it and just the little stories he has for everything. I just find so entertaining and amazing. Um and I don't know if you've actually read it yet, but you had Jeanette McCurdy's autobiography, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I have been wanting to read that for so long, and then I actually got 2 of them for Christmas because I put it on my Amazon wish list, and then my manager got me it because she knew I wouldn't shut up about that book. But that book is really, really good. I read it, and then I listened to the Audible because, she narrates it.
Oh.
So, she reads her own book, and it is such an amazing book. Like, it's super well written, and it's really, really sad. Like, you just kind of hear about her life and, her struggles with, like, eating and struggles with her mom and struggles with, Nickelodeon, and it honestly, like, made me cry several times reading
Mhm.
that book, but it is really good. That is, like, one of my favorite books that I've read this last year, and I, like, told my manager, I was like, "You need to read this because it's so good." I was like, "Here's a copy. I have 2, don't worry." Um,
You're like, "You
uh
can keep this one."
I'm just giving you your gift back, it's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, keep it, it's on me. Um, but yeah, I'm also not, like, an autobiography person, I've never really unless it's, like, somebody that I like,
Mhm.
but I like heard so many good things about it, and so I just read it, and it's really, really good. It's like, yeah, definitely not something I normally read, but 10 out of 10, highly recommend it.
Yeah, and, cause I keep seeing that everywhere too, and I know you were so excited to read it and that you read it and that you were super like, it was amazing, and so it's one of those things, like, cause I liked Janet McCurdy as an actress. I liked her when she was on iCarly and, Sam and Cat and all of that jazz, um but, like, I would have never have, like, thought to pick up her autobiography because it just seems like something that I wouldn't read, but the fact that I think everybody who has read
Mhm.
it has been like, "You need to read this," and I'm like, I need to read a lot of things, but
Yeah.
that's on my list, and so is,
Yeah, same.
uh
My TBR is so
oh
long.
my gosh, I don't think there's an end to my TBR, it's so long, but, Tom Felton recently came out with an autobiography called Behind the Wand, about his time on the sets of Harry Potter. So, me being a Harry Potter nerd is like an automatic. I have to read. But I love when it's from the perspective of somebody who was actually there. Because I mean, you watch all of these people
Mhm.
in interviews and magazine articles and all of that, and so you get that, but it's so for me, having it be, like, directly from the person who's experiencing these things and having them write it and not a journalist write it or somebody edit it together for them, like, it's from their
Yeah.
perspective, and they are telling their story from beginning to end the way they want it is just so intriguing, and I'm super excited to read it. It's
It
currently
Yeah, it's
staring
more
at me
like
every day.
it's more raw and real.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look at it every day as I sit at my
That's how,
desk
like,
and
Janet
ignore it.
McCurdy's book is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's
You're like,
like
"I'll get to it one day."
one day I will get there. Maybe when I don't have a full-time job that I have to attend to. Or maybe this podcast will get so amazingly popular and cool that you and I will both never have to work a normal job. We can just do this. We can just talk to each other every day.
That would
That'd be
that would
so
be the
weird.
life,
It
honestly.
would, and it would be so weird.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Ugh, I feel like I have to go to work now."
I do want to throw out randomly, since we're talking about the podcast, I love that on our Instagram, your friends are so supportive. Like, we have like 20 of your friends following us right now, and I'm just like, yes, Casey's friends. My friends, on the other hand, not supportive. So rude. I think there's like three people I know following us, and I'm like, seriously, guys, wow.
Yeah, that's because I force them to be. Like, my friend Robin, I'm like, "Did you listen to the podcast? Go leave it a five-star rating and comment on our post, okay? Thank you."
Oh, I love that. I don't do that to my friends. I'm just like, "Here it is," and they're like, "Nice." And I'm like, Thanks, I think, maybe."
Cool.
Um, Although I do like, cause when I, like, record and stuff for, like, my YouTube channel and then for this, and my mom will always ask, "Oh, how did it go? Did you guys have fun?" It's, "Yeah, we had a good time." Um, and then I normally tell her what we end up talking about and stuff like that. But, my mom, always super supportive.
Number 1 fan.
Oh, yeah, forever. Back to books. So, what was the last book you actually read?
So the last book that I fully read, let me check here because well, I'm currently reading it's called Pretty Sisters or something. It's by
Mm,
Karen Slaughter. But it's just like such a long book. I just haven't gotten through it yet. I'm like
yeah.
halfway. Oh, it's called Pretty Girls.
Okay.
That's the book that I'm currently reading.
Nice.
And then the last book that I finished, I think it was called The Deep by Nick Cutter. And
Oh.
that one took me a while too. That one was pretty crazy. It was about this like disease that was happening that basically made you go crazy, and it was called the Gets is what they called it,
Mm.
and they found this stuff that is supposed to like help it, and the stuff is at the bottom of the ocean,
Oh.
so they built a lab at the bottom of the ocean. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. It definitely made me squirm a couple times just cuz like
Oh.
I don't know, the ocean freaks me out. It's
Oh.
so big.
Yeah.
But they basically like it's about like this scientist who's down there trying to do all this stuff for to like find stuff to like cure the disease, and then his brother goes down there, and they basically all go like insane, and like they're stuck at the bottom of the ocean in this like tiny built lab. And it's
Ooh.
pretty crazy. It's very if you have claustrophobia, which I don't, but there was times where I was like, "Ooh, that's tight spaces, not real fun."
Yeah.
At the bottom of the ocean, no.
Yeah.
And they all like start to go crazy, and then like this stuff like mutates and like goes crazy, and yeah, it's really good. It's kind of like a slow burn book, so
Mm,
like you kind of have to like get into it to really get to the crazy, but once you do, it's pretty good. Nick Cutter has really good books. He's like one of my favorite authors.
nice. I couldn't tell you the last book I actually read.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what book did you read?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, now I'm trying to think. I feel like I just reread something and I can't remember. I'm trying to think. I think the last book I probably read start to finish was I started rereading Harry Potter. So I read the first one and I think that was like the last like full
Even though
length.
you've read it 1,000 times.
Yeah, yeah. I have sitting on my desk right next to me, right next to Tom Felton's book is Daisy Jones and the Six. And it's not even a big book. It's let me see, let me look. It's probably like 300 pages. I could literally, if I sat down and just read, I could whip through this thing like no problem. Yeah, it's not even 400 pages. It got turned into a Amazon Prime TV show, which is why I wanted to hurry up and read it. That show has since come out like long time ago, like months ago. It has Sam Claflin in it, who is the same guy who plays Finnick in the Hunger Games. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, I have a friend who it's like her favorite book in the universe, and she talks about it all the time. And it looks right up my alley because I think it's supposed to be about a band in like I feel like it's the 70s, which I love 70s era everything. It's again reading. I don't know why it's just like on the back burner all the time, which is why I've been reading a lot of fan fiction because fan fiction I could
Mhm.
take with me on my phone. But every time I thought for a while I would take a book back and forth to work with me,
Yeah.
but it seems like every time I do that, somebody in the break room wants to chit chat, which is fine. I love talking with my coworkers, but I'm just like, I really wanted to read and I'm not doing that. So it was just, I can't remember what book it was, but it was just like wrecking the book instead of actually being read. And then also, the max I get for breaks is half an hour. And for me, that's too short of a reading period. Like, I have to like an hour to fully like get anywhere in a book.
Yeah.
Um,
Minimum.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like with fan fiction, because one, it's on my phone.
Yeah. It's portable.
I watched a TikTok that this girl was saying that she could, she like has such a hard time getting through books, even though like it's only like 300, 400 pages, but she can and she goes, "Ugh, I'll read it later. I'll read it later. I'll read it later." And then she gets into bed and she goes, "Ooh, 25-part fan fiction. That's like 5,000 words for each chapter. Perfect time to read right before I go to bed. No problem." And I'm like, that's so my brain right now. It's just like it's ridiculous. Also, reading off of your phone is nice because you don't have to have the lights on. You just sit there in the dark and read.
Yeah, that's why I like my Kindle. I have like a lot of hardcover, like actual books that
Mhm.
I have to read, but like I like my Kindle books because then I'm like I don't have to have the lights on.
Mhm.
But then I also have been reading my Kindle books. I have so many books that like I've been on Book Talk like a lot,
Yeah.
and I am like I my book stack is so big, and then somebody will be like, "Oh, look at this book," and I'm like, "Add to cart." Like,
Yep.
okay.
You know what's so funny is like I really wish TikTok was a thing like when we were younger, like when we were in high school, because I kid you not, I would have been the girl on Book Talk going, "You need to read this, and you need to read this, and you need to read this," because I read like,
Yeah.
every single thing before it was, like, a big, huge, popular kind of thing, and I'm just like, "Read this, read this, read this." That's how I am with TV shows
Mhm.
now. I'll tell all my friends, like, "Watch this show here, watch this show here, that here," and then everybody goes, "Okay, well, what's your next recommendation?" And I'm like, "Okay, I can't watch TV that fast, but give me, like, a week and I'll figure it out for you." Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do need to get back into reading. I love reading, and I always have. Um,
Yeah, we also have very different reading tastes,
we
like,
do
very different
I don't think
taste in books.
yeah, which one day we were gonna have to pick up like one of our each of our we're gonna have to do basically another fandom swap but with books. Um
A book swap,
Books,
yeah.
yeah, just like your classic book club kind of thing where we read um either the same book or we trade books too. I think would be fun because uh we definitely have very different tastes cuz you like usual are the spooky queen. You like spooky and scary and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and I am very much like romance, fantasy, but we both like not safe for work content. Just different kinds of not safe for work content.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. Yeah, I read a lot of, like, very, like, disturbing books and very, like, gory like, I'll tell my coworkers, like, my friend Robin, I'm like, "Hey, I wanna hear this book I read," and she's like, "No, because the last one you told me was gross," and I'm like, "Well, this one's also gross, so let me tell you about it because I
Yeah,
have to tell somebody."
that's hilarious. Yeah, mine are very well,
Yeah.
this is very sexy, steamy romance novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, just it's a very different content, you and I.
Very different, yes, absolutely. Do you like audiobooks? Because I kind of am, like, half and half with them.
Mhm.
Like, I especially, like, if I go on a road trip, I will play audiobooks. I haven't really listened to any recently, but I do have a lot in my library that I need to actually read, or listen to. But I know some people like audiobooks, some people don't. Some people consider it not reading, some people do. What is your opinion on audiobooks?
I definitely still think it's reading because I mean, you're just reading without actually I mean, just like how for me watching TV, like I'm still consider myself watching a show even if I'm just listening to it. So it's the same thing in reverse for books.
Yeah.
Um for me, it's kind of the same thing with like podcasts, which is bizarre. Like I if somebody records a podcast or something and they have a video attached to it, I will watch it, but I won't listen to the podcast, which I think is weird. And that's kind of how I feel about I don't know why. And that's how I feel about audiobooks like I know people like I know you and my friend Tammy are always like, yeah, on a road trip, you pop a book on and you listen to it. But if I'm the one driving, I will not pay attention to that book. I just my brain cannot handle it. I will pick up tidbits of information because I tried it once. I think I was going through the Percy Jackson series for the second time, and I was like, I'll just slap it on. So, like, when I commute back and forth to
Mhm.
work, I have something other than this was before I had Spotify Premium. So, I was still dealing with the radio and commercials. Um, and so I was like, oh, got an audiobook. I'll pop it on. And I literally drove to work and I could not remember a single thing that happened and I was only half an hour into
You
the
just zone
I
out, you're
just
like, "Mm."
yeah, my brain is just like you don't need to remember that, which is why for me like on long car rides a very diverse playlist of music is my go-to because especially
Mhm.
if it's songs that I know the lyrics to because then I will just sing. My brain will be focused on driving, but I will just sing. But if I'm the passenger, that's a whole different story. Like I could pay attention, not that I would, but I could. But yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
there there are certain like I remember in high school, I don't even remember what the book was called. It was narrated by Tom Hiddleston. So naturally, I had to get my grubby little hands on it and I had to listen because Tom Hiddleston's voice is the voice of an angel and I love it. And I listened to the whole thing and I cannot tell you what the book was called, what the characters' names were, or even what it was really about. It was a romance novel. That's about all I remember. And I feel like there was like the main character, like ran away, not to the circus necessarily, but like ran away to something to be with the love interest. But I could not tell you a single thing about that book. I think it was called The Red Necklace, if I remember correctly.
Like, I just liked his voice.
I listened to it because it was Tom Hiddleston, and I just wanted to listen to his voice. Um, but brain remembers nothing. But like I said, when I'm watching people like who like video record their podcast, I don't actually sit and watch the video. I listen to it like a normal podcast. But I don't I think it might
Yeah.
I think my brain is just like, oh, glance over every once in a while cuz I like seeing people's facial expressions. So I like to being able to like glance when they're making a weird like when it's silent but they're making a weird face at each other. I like knowing that information. So I just for me, audiobooks, I just
Yeah.
can't. My brain is just like, "Okay, you can tune it out now." And I'm like, "Actually, I can't because I missed the important plot point for that." But what about you?
You're
I know
right.
you're in be- I know you're in between. Is there like a style of book you prefer as an audiobook versus just reading it straight up?
Not really. I mean, I said I listened to Jeanette McCurdy's book on audiobook, and I
Mhm.
kinda like that because it felt like I really like podcasts, so it kinda felt like that. I also listened to a book called The Gift of Fear, which was more, like, informative and not really, like, a written book, or, like, I mean, it was a written book.
Yeah.
What am I saying here? Like, an actual like, a story. It was
Yeah.
more, like, informative. I'm like, obviously, it was a written book. What am I saying? That's kind of, like, what I prefer. I mean, I have, like, a bunch of books that are, like, stories and stuff on my Audible, but I
Yeah.
haven't listened through them. I think the last book I listened to was called The Perfect Child, which that one was really good to listen to because it's a book in the perspective of 3 people, so 3 people,
Oh,
narrate it,
that's
so that's
cool.
kinda cool because you
Yeah.
can kinda hear the different voices of
Mhm.
yeah, of each person that's, like, every other chapter is a different person talking, so that's kinda cool, um, but, I mean, recently, I haven't been listening to it because all I've been listening to is music,
Yeah.
but usually, like, if I go on, like if I, like, come to you,
Mhm.
I will listen to either an audiobook or, like, podcast just because I can kind of just set my cruise control on and
And
cruise
listen.
on down listening to podcasts.
Yeah. I will tell you though, I do
Yeah, and
remember
listen. I also have a
yeah. Um I do remember in high school.
I was just gonna say that I have a oh no.
Oh no. We're out of sync.
So we're out of sync. Okay, all I was gonna say was that I also have a Court of Thorns and Roses on my Audible, which is a
Oh,
very popular TikTok book.
yeah.
And, I have been meaning to listen to it or read it, um, because that one is, like, the TikTok book, I feel like.
Yes,
My friend
ma'am.
is currently reading it, and I was like, "Let me know how it is," because 'cause I'm not that's not my type of book, but I have, like, FOMO, so if I don't
For
read it,
sure.
I feel
Mhm.
like I'm missing out, even though it's not my genre of book, so, I might pick that up eventually.
Oh, we should read that together because that's also on my list because I also have major FOMO when it
We
comes
should.
to reading. That's why I can't be on book talk because it just makes the FOMO worse. And I've already got so much FOMO in regards to everything else that I
Right.
don't need that added to the list. But I do screenshot some of them here and there because I'm like, "Oh, maybe I'll read that later." And then I get like a sewing project or a YouTube project, or I get, long hours at work. And I'm just like, well, never mind for that. But I was going to say, I remember in high school, we had to read over the summer like a crap ton of books because I was an AP kid. So I had the long
Mhm.
reading list. And I remember I was like, I'll do the audiobooks, right? So I got all the audiobooks from the library, and they were all on disc for the kids out there. They came on discs. They weren't on the internet, and I burned them onto my
Couldn't just
imported them
download
into
them.
my iTunes and then put it on my iPod, so that I could listen. And I did that for 3 books. And the only one that I remember was for Billy Budd by Herman Melville, and the only reason I remember it was because it wasn't like a traditional audiobook recording where, like, it's just somebody reading it. It was like a dramatic reenactment styled audiobook, so there was sound effects and multiple people. Like, it
Mhm.
was basically like a stage play, but just the audio. So if it's like that, my brain can retain that, but if it's just like a straight up like regular audiobook, my brain just can't handle it.
Yeah, some audiobooks I've, like, had a lot of trial and error with audiobooks. Like, I get a lot of the free ones on Audible,
Mhm.
just to kinda see what, like, style I like because, like, you have to pay for them.
Yeah,
So, I'm like, I don't wanna spend a credit on something I don't like.
exactly.
Um, so I get a lot of the free ones and then some that I'm like, "Okay, I really wanna listen to this one," then I'll spend my my credits on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't actually, like, listened to them in a while. I really need to. I actually pre-ordered one on here a while ago called The Delicious
Wow.
Death that I've been meaning to listen to. Yeah, I pre-ordered it a long time ago, and it was like, "Your Audible's ready," and I'm like, "What? I don't remember that."
Yeah, it's just like I actually pre-ordered. I haven't pre-ordered a book in ages. Like, I used to be the girl that pre-ordered every single book from an author she loved coming out because that's just who I am as a person. Um but I actually pre-ordered a book off of Amazon for the first time in forever, and it is this girl I follow on TikTok who she has like this whole series on her TikTok of she's the personal assistant to the morally gray villain. And she's like the cutest little bean ever, but she took all those skits and she actually wrote a book. And I was like, first of all,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, and first of all, I'm so proud of her. But second of all, I'm so excited because all of her skits are absolutely hilarious. Let me find out what the book is because I don't remember what it's called. But she like cracks me up, and I'm so happy she's writing a book series, or I hope it's a series. I know she's coming out with one book, but I hope it's a series.
I also read mangas. I mean, if that counts as reading. It's picture books, but I feel
I
like
think
it
it
counts
still
as well.
counts.
Yeah. There's
So,
words. There's a lot of
yeah.
pictures, but there's words in there. So,
Just like I think comic books count too. It's still reading, it's just a lot
yeah.
faster. Well, I guess it depends on the comic book or the manga.
Yeah, that's true. The only one I'm actually, like, caught up on is Chainsaw Man. That one comes out weekly to every other week. So that one I read every it comes out on Tuesdays. So every Tuesday it comes out. I'm, like, on that, like, immediately. That's the one that I've, like, kept up on.
Mhm.
Um, but that's about it.
It is called Assistant to the Villain. Yay, figured it out. Okay, it's called The Assistant to the Villain, and it is by Hannah. I'm gonna say Mayer. Maher. It's Maehrer. Hannah is her name, so we will call her Hannah. Yeah, it's the assistant to the villain. You can, I think, pre-order it pretty much everywhere. I pre-ordered mine off of Amazon because I have Amazon, so it was convenient. Um, but I'm excited to see what she does with it because she watch her TikToks. I'll send you some. She's so cute. And she's just like she's so much energy. Like she's just like she could practically vibrates all of the time. Um, but I'm excited for that. So that's the first book I've pre-ordered in a long time. I think the other book I've pre-ordered within the last year was Tom Felton's Beyond the Wand, which I haven't read yet. So,
Like, but I pre-ordered it, so
but I pre-ordered it. I helped with the sales and that, so it matters. But yes, what else about books? What's your favorite kind of bookmark?
Um,
Do you actually use a bookmark?
no, I need to. I usually just, like, whatever I have, like, nearby me.
You're
And
just
I
like, "This'll
sometimes
do."
it's a receipt, sometimes yeah, this is fine. I do need to get a bookmark actually, because like, I'll just put, like, a bill, like, in the book, like, whatever's closest to me at the time, I just, like, shove it in there, and I'm like, "This'll
Oh.
work." I did see some cool ones at Barnes& and Noble.
Yeah, yeah. I never understood the people who would, like, dog ear their books because 'cause I'm like, "No, you're ruining the
Oh
book."
god, no, absolutely not.
You're like,
Yeah,
"You
that makes me
monster."
physically sick. Yeah, absolutely not. I will just grab whatever is closest to me that's, like, flat and, like, bookmark-esque like. I'm like,
Yeah.
"This'll do." I'll get a bookmark eventually, but, like,
Yeah,
this bill that's probably important will work for now.
yeah.
I have so many books that I need to, like, actually sit down and read.
Mhm,
I have a book called The House of Leaves,
mhm,
which I've heard was, like, really, really good. My friend convinced me to buy it when we were at Barnes& and Noble. Um, and it's from what I've gathered, it's about this it's the so the per it takes perspective of the person writing the book, and, like, as the book goes on, he, like,
mhm.
slowly goes insane. So, there's, like,
Oh.
parts of the book where it's, like, crossed out, there's, like, a page in the book where he, like, writes in a spiral, um, so and, like, that's how it's written. So, I've been meaning to I have it, it's very big, like, the book is huge, um, and that is one on my to-be-read list that I've heard good things about it, so I need
Nice.
to read that book. I also have let's see, I have a couple books. I have, like, a book called The Ruins, which they have a movie based off of. I think I have another book by Nick Cutter, and then I have a book called Nosferatu that I need to read,
Oh.
and yeah, by, I think it's Joe Hill? I'm not sure. My friend suggested it to me, and I'm like, "I love book suggestions. Let me just, buy them all."
You're like, "Oh, here's 5, you can just pick 1," and you're like, "No, no, I'll pick them all, thank you."
Yeah. And that's just, like, my physical copy books, like, that's not including my Kindle library, which
Mhm.
I have Kindle Unlimited, so I can get, like, the whatever free books, and then people will be like, suggest something on TikTok, and then I'll go look at it, and it'll be, like, either free or, like, super cheap, so I'm like, "Okay, well, I might as well get it," and then it just, like I have, like, a pile of my Kindle library is, like, massive right now.
Nice. Yeah, I have a lot of like I have the pile of books next to my desk of the stuff that I want to like immediately read. And then I have the giant pile sitting in my closet that is my current to be read stuff that I've already bought. It does not include my to be read of stuff that I have not bought, but I keep going, I need to add that to the list. My to be read
Yeah.
and my to watch list is probably about the same length because everybody keeps suggesting stuff and I'm like, I'll get to
Yeah,
it
same.
eventually. Maybe.
I saw this thing once. It was talking about anime, but it's pretty relatable to anything that like it said like you will outlive your to be
Oh.
like your watch list of
Oh
things. And
yeah.
I'm like,
For
dang, that's
sure.
crazy. Because my watch list like is absolutely massive. I'm like, I'm gonna and then I'm like the type of person that likes to rewatch stuff or like reread things.
Yes, cuz it's
So
so
like
good.
I'm always like, yeah, I'm always like, I'm gonna watch this show or I can just rewatch this show I've seen 100 times.
Exactly. Or you do the thing that I do and you go, "Yeah, I'll watch a new show," but you wanna sit down and actually, like, pay attention to it, but you don't have time to do that, so you're like, "You know what? I'm just gonna put on Supernatural again," and then you end
Yeah.
up sitting and watching Supernatural and not doing the
Yeah.
project that you were supposed to do.
Yeah, you're like, "I could have just watched the new one anyways, the new
Yep,
show I wanted to watch because 'cause I'm just
yep,
sitting here watching it anyways."
yep, nope. Brain is like, "Nah, you're good, you just watch Supernatural," and I'm like, "Okay, I guess." And then Supernatural's 15
Yeah,
seasons,
that's how
so
I
I gotta
feel.
watch all 15 seasons, of course. Can't just stop.
Like, I can't of course I can't just watch one, I have to watch
No.
all of them,
All.
all 15, I don't care. Yeah, I think that, like, sums it all up. I mean, we should definitely do the book swap because, like I said, we have very different tastes in books, and, like, I'll do something that's a little not as gross and gory. I actually have a perfect book that I've suggested to everyone,
Okay, I was about to say, I don't
and
mind
it's really good.
I don't mind gross and gory. I like honestly like in movies and video games and stuff, that stuff has never grossed me out. Um so I mean feel free to throw whatever you want at me, but if you have the perfect recommendation, then by all means. I'm going to have to think about a recommendation for you cuz I haven't been reading for a while, so I also have to decide if I want to make you cry.
Yeah. Which I will anyways. I mean, books and TV make me cry regardless. This book actually, it's called Hidden Pictures.
Mhm.
It's by, let's see, I reviewed it on my Instagram. It is by Jason Rikulik. This book actually like is what got me into like reading a lot more because I
Mhm.
had like heard really good things about it, and I picked it up and I could not put it down. I was like telling my manager, I was like, you need to read this book. I was telling my friends, I was like, everybody needs to read this book because this book got me back into reading. Like this is what like piqued my like book addiction.
Nice.
So I'll make you read that one.
Yeah. I do not currently have a book in mind, but I will get back to you on that. But I will make sure to I feel like I remember you talking about hidden pictures on Instagram. Maybe it was when you reviewed it.
Yeah, I shared
But
like an
that one
actual post about it. Yeah.
yeah, cuz I remember yeah. Yes, yes, yes. But yes, I'm excited for book swap, and then I think we should definitely do our good old fashioned book club of reading A Court of Rose and Thorns or whatever, whatever it is. I don't remember what it's called. Um,
Yes.
because I just think that would be fun. I'm excited that this podcast is gonna make me get back into reading because I keep telling myself I need to read more and not fan fiction. Need to read more. If I read more, then I can
Yeah.
write more, and then I
Actual
can read.
books.
Yes, I think that's gonna end our chat here about books. Like I said, I'm excited to jump back into the world of reading, especially now that we're coming kind of towards the end of summer ish. For both myself and Casey, summer tends to last well into October because we're on the west coast of the United States where
Yeah,
it's just
God.
hot
Yeah.
forever. But as
Yeah.
the months get cooler, hopefully my work schedule won't be as crazy. I love staying inside and reading, especially when it's cold outside. So hopefully, I'll be getting some
Oh,
reading
yeah,
done.
that's the best.
I will leave a space for you guys to suggest some books for us to read or talk about, dig into. Maybe at some point we can talk about favorite books that have gone from books to movies because I feel like that's always very interesting to talk about.
Mhm.
But yeah, don't forget to do all the podcasty things down below. Subscribe, make sure to rate the podcast, because that's a thing you can do. 5 stars is preferable, but I guess if you feel like giving a different opinion, then by all
Yeah.
means.
Yes, please.
But 5 stars would be great, and we'd be eternally grateful. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And we will see you guys in the next episode. So, bye.
Bye.